our final district level building advisory committee and building level advisory committee meeting, and we're doing it jointly as we have over the last year. I'm Emily Figdor. I'm one of the co-chairs of the committee, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We're going to jump into the agenda, and hopefully as we go, we'll have a few other committee members join us. So tonight we're going to really wrap up our work together, talk about the status of the 3 schools that still have some final work going on. We're at different stages with them since we finished the Presumpscot project almost a year ago now, but then have some issues that have come up in the meantime. And then we'll talk about the kind of final punch lists and steps at Reiki and Longfellow. And then we'll talk about the next steps in terms of the ribbon cuttings and a celebratory event for all of us to mark all that we have achieved together. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mark to walk us through the agenda.
Very good. Thank you, Emily. And hopefully everyone can now see the material for tonight. It is a fairly routine presentation, even though it sort of is at a moment in time where it feels almost a little unreal to think that this is our last meeting. As has been mentioned, this has been many, many years of conducting these as we've endeavored to be stewards of the citizens' resources and really improving the learning environments for the 4 elementary schools. And so here we are. We've been through quite a bit to get here, but we'll get going with this material and we'll celebrate at other times so we won't lose that sense of a great deal of accomplishment. As Emily mentioned, our update is going to be the construction update on where we are with the 3 schools. Dave Lewis's budget snapshot and the sort of other component of that we've been monitoring carefully is where we are with the furniture. Don't know if we have enough for approval of minutes, but we have that on the list of items. And then simply just a big thank you to everyone that was involved throughout the many, many milestones and steps and processes and conversations and discernment of many things to get to this point. So for the construction update, for Longfellow, there's a little bit of work left. We're waiting, mostly has to do with some handrail parts that we're still waiting. They're intending to come in and be installed as soon as we get them. But so that's ongoing there. There's not a lot. There's a little bit of site work as well. Right now, when the weather gets a little bit better, we'll be able to confirm the loam and seating, which usually takes a little while to establish. And so we're holding a little bit of money to make sure that gets a reasonable degree of growth. And the contractor does necessary steps to make sure that the lawn areas are established. So that's a little bit that we're holding on to there. And then there are some completion items that we require of the contractor to close out the contract. And so we're waiting for those documents that they are responsible to hand over to us, and that material gets turned over to Sarah and her group so that they have a record of everything that's been done as part of the construction and products and procedures and whatnot that went into the renovations and addition. So that's and to allow them to complete some of those outstanding items, we've extended the contract date just to cover those items until July 15th. So again, a few lingering items, and some of them are identified here, but so those are the items that we're tracking right now. And images back a ways now before the winter on some of the progress. So it looks very much like that, except covered in snow now and less construction barriers around it.
And the ramp is now gorgeous.
The ramp is now, yes, no longer plywood. Right. Let me see here. Yep. All right. So next we're going to move to Reiki, and we have Steve Fraser, who has done a lot of the work with Reiki. Reiki was the one that was probably the longest schedule, and so we've had a few surprises more recently with Reiki, and so Steve, you want to take it away?
Sure. There are a handful of things left to do. I know they finished up a number of items during the MLK Day break. Up in the roof plaza area, as part of the roof plaza waterproofing, we have metal siding that's covering some of the brick that's up there, because we didn't have a good way to keep the water from getting into the brick. And that metal siding, I believe, is still on order, so that'll be installed when it arrives. There on the site, there are 2 or 3 granite benches still on order. They're waiting for those to come in, and just a handful of plantings that didn't get put in before winter, and those will be done in the spring. The third one is the glass railings, and I believe those were done along with some drywall repairs around the library area the beginning of this week. The big thing that's outstanding is some roof leaks that have developed, and some bubbling, significant bubbling of the membrane up on the roof. And we had a number of people up on the roof early last week, I believe, and walked the area to find out what's going on up there. We did find the source of a leak that came in and got one classroom quite wet. There was some flashing under a new piece of ductwork that was missed, so that was fixed by Hardy Pond right afterwards. So I think the chances of it leaking, at least from that point, were beyond that. But we've got 2 big bubbles that have developed in the roof membrane. Those 2 pictures kind of show it. And we've had a number of people last week and this week trying to track down what's going on, because it's not quite evident. Hardy Pond, I believe, was there today doing some investigation, trying to turn units off and on and isolate rooms to see which unit it might be, or if it's really caused by the units themselves. I haven't gotten a download from them on that today, but we've also had the commissioning agent who reviews all the mechanical systems was on site earlier this week, and they looked at this stuff too while they're there, and their initial opinion is there's probably nothing wrong with the mechanical systems. They've seen this same issue in another building before that was a new building with a new roof, and it was simply the adhesive on that new membrane had failed. And this roof that's up there now is at least 30, maybe 40 years old, and we can tell just by walking on it that there are a lot of issues with the substrate underneath, and it's likely that the adhesive has failed, and it's just the pressure, the normal pressure in the building is causing it to pop up. So we're going to look at it a little bit more. They have been able to, as part of the bubbling up that you see, it pulled one of the roof drains right out of the drain system. So that's been reset. So we think at this point we're watertight, but it's certainly an issue that this roof needs to get addressed sooner than later. I know Tamara's working on budget stuff to get that money in as soon as possible to get this work done. So I don't know, Dave, if you have anything else you want to add.
No, I think you covered it well. It's an old roof. It's past its service life expectancy, and it is probably past time to look into replacing it.
And Charlie, yeah.
Thanks. as we know, it was a pretty significant leak. Can we talk about some of the mitigating efforts, because there was a lot of water that leaked out into other classrooms?
Okay.
And how does that look long term, especially because it went into so much drywall?
I haven't seen the damage. I've only heard about what they're doing, Charlie. And I know they pulled off all the rubber base and they drilled holes between each stud in the drywall and ran dehumidifiers. So that's a pretty good technique to get the moisture out of that wall as soon as possible before you start having any mold issues. So I suspect that that's been done and is dried out at this point. I haven't heard anything more beyond that.
Charlie, is there other damage as a result in the classrooms that we need to make sure that we're taking care of?
The concern that I have is just it affected, I would say, about 4 other teaching spaces. And like Steve correctly said, that we did drill, they did drill to air out. I'm worried about the joining drywalls between the classrooms that haven't been mitigated in any way, and did the water, which is quite a lot of water. Has that been soaked up into that drywall? Nothing's been done there as far as I can see. Today we replaced the ceiling tiles because the leak has been addressed. But I know that teachers are concerned just about the possibility of mold, and I want to be able to tell them that we've done everything that we can to mitigate that.
I can touch base with Hardy Pond tomorrow. I find it hard to believe that they would have addressed some of the walls that got wet and not others. So I'm hopeful that they addressed all of the walls that got wet, but I'll confirm that tomorrow. But Charlie, from what I've heard, it was a pretty significant amount of water.
And we should probably check also with Dave Lewis as well on this. Just check the documentation that was done around the areas that received water.
Yep. And this really, the repairs for this would fall onto Hardy Pond because the flashing that was missing was part of their work. It was a easy miss because it was flashing that was tucked in underneath this ductwork. It was really probably difficult to put in, but it was their miss.
Good. Any other questions before we move to the next slide here?
I just see that it says that the interior punch list would have been completed, and I don't think it has yet.
As far as, I don't know. We've completed our punch list. I don't know how much is left on that punch list for them to do. I know they were going to try to get a lot of it done last Monday, but I suspect that there's still some open items on that list.
Yeah, our secretary still doesn't have a desk.
Yeah, that's really not a punch list item. It's on their list of stuff to do, but it came in late. So I know it's on a list of stuff to do, but it just hasn't been done yet to punch. So what the contract is on that is they're cutting out that shallow desk there, and then the furniture budget has bought a desk for her.
And we'll get an update on that in a little bit here.
Yeah. And one other item that I know Charlie's aware of is we have these green acoustical clouds that are hung in the library, and one of them is a bit too close to the opening. There's a picture of one right there. And the kids are reaching their hands out and potentially hanging off of it. So we're looking at some options to either shift or minimize the size of that cloud to get it away from the opening.
Annie and Charlie, anything else in terms of what you need and ensuring that everything is done and completed in a way that your responds to your needs and those of the staff?
Thanks, Emily. I think it's important just that when we have a final punch list that I'm there and that I can walk through my concerns. I don't think those, I know you referred to it, Steve, I don't think those glass partitions have been put in yet in the library. At least I didn't see them.
Okay.
But, I want to make sure, speaking to Emily's question, that we're, that everything is taken care of that needs to be taken care of. There are some things that still need to be finished for sure.
Okay.
Just making sure that the leak between classrooms is resolved safely, and that I can say to teachers that their space is safe. I think that's really important to be clear with them. So we need to look into that. Our new old entrance looks beautiful and is really, like we can see the face of our school, and it's just a beautiful and smooth entrance for kids getting in, and community members getting in and out of the school. We love it. It's just, the last dregs of a huge project, which we're incredibly grateful for all of the work that everyone's done. And we have the last piece, which I'm sure Steve or Mark will talk about, which is just the old Brackett Street entrance that is shored up and needs to be finalized. I don't know if anyone wants to talk about contractually what that looks like, but other than that, we're looking to wrap up. I want to say in April was what I heard was the last, maybe for the short, for the concrete.
Maybe even sooner. One other question for you, Charlie, is on the steps that go down to the library, has that carpet been changed yet?
No.
Okay, so that's another punch list item. I thought, again, that was going to be done Martin Luther King Day, but they may be pushing some of the stuff to February break.
So why don't you and I just touch base, Steve, and have a walkthrough? When there's a punch list walkthrough, let's just cross everything off together, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
I can do that. And then the damaged concrete beam, this is the concrete beam where the old ramp went up to on the Brackett Street side in where they serve food. There's temporary shoring up in place with a wall that's hiding it to keep the kids out. And they're fast tracking that work to be done over February break. At least the heavy, noisy part of the work will be done over February break. And then following that, the new storefront will be installed. So I expect that will be probably complete maybe mid-March, which is a good cost savings because that shoring is rented by the week. And I think our budget has that carried through June. So we'll definitely save some money on shoring on that piece of work. Any questions on that, Charlie, or anyone?
I'm just going to add that shoring is actually rented by the day.
Is it by the day?
So, yeah,
$50 a day, I think.
Yeah, it's some weird fraction, $52.04 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the sooner we can get rid of that, the happier we will be.
Yeah. And the site work one's probably out of date at this point. The site work's pretty much done, and it's open for use when the kids came back this year. So the whole entrance, the bus drop off. So I assume that's working out well.
Seeing nods. Good.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just really helps with the flow in and out of our school and the clarity, I think, for kids and for families. It's just really important for our school, and kids and families are responding really nicely. It looks beautiful.
Okay. Any other questions? I'll turn again to the group of images here. It's fairly recent snapshot of sort of the state of things and level of sort of completion and in use. So it is being well utilized now. A school building with walls. So.
And I think you have a slide somewhere else, Mark, about furniture, right?
Yeah, we do. And we'll talk a little bit about the furniture, and we've got an update on the lead time that we anticipate for the furniture. So talk a little bit about that then. Okay. And then Przemysl, the primary aspect of that we've been dealing with and the addition of the school has been the flooring. We've had a lot of cooperation with the contractor and the flooring subcontractor and manufacturer. That's the good news. We didn't get a lot of finger pointing. We had a lot of cooperation. And the flooring contractor did some off-site testing of the combination of adhesives and tile, rubber tile, and to determine what the best method or best combination is and what was potentially leading to some of the failures that we were observing. And they've come up with what they couple combinations, what they think of the right thing to mitigate the issues that we're seeing, which were a lot of cupping at seams. So right now, performing three different test installations in the cafeteria, and then we're going to figure out what the right one is for the replacement tile. So that is good news in terms of moving forward with finding a solution for that. And then there were two items that we were looking at doing to address some of the fact that some of the rooms get really warm in those shoulder seasons and summertime. And so one of the things to do in the shoulder seasons, we can in the evenings we can bring in a lot of the cooler air to help condition spaces when the temperatures are down lower. So it's called an economizer mode, and so that's a simple adjustment to the controls on the air handler. And then the other thing we're looking at is potential for the windows, adjusting windows so that there's an opportunity to operate and bring some fresh air in on those. And I think that's probably on the next. Yes, a window in each of the pre-K and K classroom will be modified to have an operable vent. So beyond that, there's the site work items that will be conducted in the spring here when the weather gets a little bit more conducive for site work. So, but those are really the primary items that are remaining at Presumpscot. Other than, again, we've talked about furniture installation. So, Jessica?
Hi, I was wondering if you could speak to the leaks that are coming into the music room every time it rains at Presumpscot, which is in the new addition.
Yeah, Dave Lewis, are you? I was not made aware of roof leaks.
Yeah.
This is the first I have heard of them.
So if they're,
I can speak to them.
oh, please.
So every time a big storm with wind arrives, there's major leaks in the music room. There's also leaks in the art room. And then there's some other leaks in other places, but not as major as in the music room. And it's my understanding that, so they've now gone up and they've put a plastic sheathing around the upper part. Because my understanding, and I don't know, I don't pretend to know anything about this. However, what Quentin told me was the way the roof was put on, the flange, right, area or whatever it is down at there's these little holes basically, right, that allow, I think, some ventilation. When the wind picks up, the rain comes in through those, actually, believe it or not, even on the ground. It comes up through the roof and then it leaks into the music room. He jackhammered the top of the roof to figure out what was going on because no one could figure out what was going on. It is my understanding that it is on Great Falls and the roofing company to fix that is what they told me. That is their responsibility because it was done well. The way they did it is not proving to be leak free. So Jess is right. It's a disaster a little bit. It's not even like, we're not talking about a small leak. We're talking about like 4 large garbage cans that are in the front of the music room as you enter, and the entire top part where the soundproofing has gotten water damage all around there. So they also brought in a dehumidifier to see if they could, bring some of the humidity out, because I think there could be some concern that could lead to mold later.
Yeah, it's not even a leak. It's like a waterfall.
Yeah, it's like a waterfall.
And it's like in the doorway. So the kids have to go through the waterfall to get into the music room.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. The other leaks aren't as bad as that. That one is like horrible. Yeah,
well, first, I'm glad we're being notified. Well, yep. I'm glad Great Falls is also understanding a level of responsibility, but also it's very helpful that we're notified as well. So we'll circle back with them and understand again, because it's not just the leak that that potentially is an issue, as you've mentioned there, that when the water gets in, it impacts some of the materials inside the building. So just like at Reiki, we want to make sure that it's a sound and safe environment.
Is Tamara on right now? Or tonight?
Yeah, Tamara's on vacation, I think.
She's on vacation.
Okay. She probably could have spoken to it because she has been involved in all the conversations around this.
Okay. That's good to know.
Okay.
This is the first time hearing of this, actually, so I appreciate you guys raising it because I will follow up with them. Scott's around, but Tamara will be back next week.
And then,
Yeah, I was going to add that this is also I'm learning about it right now as well, and I will first thing in the morning I'll be on the phone to Great Falls to see what's going on, what is being done. So thank you for telling us.
Thanks, Jess.
I'm so sorry, Jess and Angie, that you're having to deal with this. I think in general, for all of our building leaders who are on this call, as if issues come up, let's make sure that we loop in the full team, because Dave and the Harriman team are going to be great at ensuring that our general contractor is following through. And in general, should be looped in. And Mark, if you can remind me, but we have essentially a year after completion of the projects to ensure that everything was done correctly. And so it's really important for us to flag issues within that timeline. Is that correct? And can you speak more to that?
That's absolutely correct. So it's from the point of substantial completion, so that if we're having issues, we certainly want the documentation on what those are, because if it's a persistent issue, again, that just because we extend past that 1 year warranty issue, if there's an installation issue, then it's still a responsibility of the contractor to have provided the installation according to the contract plans and specifications. And so the warranty period is important, but also notification is critically important so that we can document this and then follow through to make sure that it's corrected.
So just to clarify, just because I would hate to like inundate people, your inbox, should it go through? So I always include our facilities person at Portland. Should it be their, responsibility to forward it to Harriman, or should I just include them? Because I don't include Harriman anymore in it. I do talk directly with Great Falls, but I also include our director of facilities.
I think that's appropriate. I think we'll make sure that the rest of the communication happens. Certainly, David Lewis, I think it can be instrumental from an owner's rep perspective. Okay. And then, but I think Sarah and Tamara and the Harriman and Dave Lewis we can all sort of be plugged into it. I think that'd be helpful.
Okay. So I'm sorry that I didn't include you. I apologize. It's not on Sarah or I was going to say Tamara, but it's Tamara, right?
Tamara,
yeah. On them. I just included, so I apologize for that. So I'll make sure that happens in the future.
No, Angie, I mean, we can do better on the communication. You're fine. And we can work on that on our side. So no, it's great if you can include us in the future, but yeah, you should, it's okay.
And just as a heads up so that our building leaders understand, but Dave Lewis is it's essentially his role to be the go-between. And as we know, he's awesome. So let's make sure that he's included.
I'm persistent.
I call persistence awesome. So how's that?
Persistent, yes. On another project, someone told me that I think Steve Stilfen used to say I was like a bulldog with things. That just I like to get stuff done and get it resolved. So thank you for bringing it to our attention.
That's essentially my definition of awesome, Dave.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
I see Nicole has her hand up, and I'm wondering if Nicole is experiencing similar challenges. So Nicole.
I just want to be clear. Thank you for all your explanations. I've been told to put a ticket in, and then I learned a few weeks ago. So we have about 5 different leaks in our building, and some are old and some are new. And I don't always know what's old, what's new, because I guess there are certain overlaps within the roofing. And so we've had several different rounds of people coming to fix the roof. Some, I guess, who are older not older, but contractors that were a part of like Maine roofers who are dealing with the old part of the building, and then we have leaks in the new part of the building. And so I just want to make sure I'm communicating with the right people, because I was told to put tickets in, but then should I also be sharing, if I don't know what the leak is part of the old roof or the new roof, should I also be sharing with this group, or what is the best way? Because I often get, I just want to make sure I'm sharing with the right people.
So I think the idea is to share it with Tamara and Sarah. That's the primary. I don't know if the best way, Sarah, is for using a ticket or what. But.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what I hear Nicole saying is that there's normally, if there's no, buildings for our future involved, it would just be a ticket. I think that what I'm hearing Nicole say is that there's a differentiation between the response for the old part of the building and the new part of the building. And yeah, I mean, the new part of the building would be, I assume, part of this group's work to look at why that's leaking. The old part of the building would be a ticket. But I don't know, Nicole, are there times when it's not clear?
Yes, I think that's the problem. There's a part of the hallway that, and I have never been on the roof, and maybe I should go look at it, but yeah, I guess there's part of the hallway that you can't really, I can't always tell. And only when the main roofers came in to say, oh, that's our responsibility, or that's not mine. And then he said, can you call, so-and-so? And so I was just trying to figure out, like, whose actual responsibility is this? And
well, at the end of the day, definitely bounce it back to Tamara and Scott. If you have any question, I think. But if you think it's in the new part of the building, it wouldn't hurt to go ahead and copy the folks here.
Okay.
But if there's any doubt or any question, then reach out.
Sorry, Nicole, go ahead.
Oh no, and just one more question. And then I was told that it wasn't a roof problem and it was a window problem, like water coming in through the side of the windows. That was a different process. And so I just didn't know if someone could explain that to me, because it just sounds like I was supposed to go through a different channel if it was coming in like the slats of the new windows.
If it's the new windows, then it falls under that same sort of issue of the new roof too. It would be part of, if they were installed as part of the construction project, then that's definitely something that we want to check back with the contractor to make sure that work has been done correctly.
Okay. Then I will make sure that's clear. Thank you.
Sarah, would it be appropriate, just to have total clarity on this, because I'm not sure we've actually said it in a clear way, but if issues are coming up on parts of the building that we've just renovated as part of the BFOF project, that the building leaders should reach out to Tamara and also to Dave Lewis as an initial step, just to start to loop in the BFOF process?
Yeah, I mean, so I wish Tamara were on here, because I would rather that she and Dave be the ones and the Harriman folks to weigh in on this. What I thought I just heard other people saying was that Harriman would like to be copied as well. I mean, to me, the differentiation is between something that's BFOF related. Anything that is connected to the recent projects needs to be, copied to some group of folks here, and I'm sort of agnostic as to who's included in that. Definitely Tamara, obviously. But you all can say, I think, who else wants to be on that list here. And then if it's not connected to the recent renovations, then that should just go through the normal ticket system. Really, I mean, the custodians typically put that stuff in, but.
Yeah, so let's maybe Tamara, when she comes back, can just confirm that this is the way we want to do it, if that's all right, Sarah. But Dave Lewis, as our owner's rep, it seems like absolutely should be part of the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I was just going to say, it would be better to hear about it as more like in real time as the issues come up. So we can make sure that sometimes it can take a little sleuthing to figure out if it's something with the new construction or existing construction, but it would be good to know about it and be part of helping figure out where it's happening and what's happening, and work towards a solution. So yeah, add me to the emails, or have Tamara forward things to me. Whatever works best on your end operationally.
I think for the sake of speed and ease, let's just go ahead and have folks copy you, Dave.
Sure.
I think the question is, do you then pass stuff on to Harriman, or does Tamara, or does Harriman want to be copied in real time as well?
Dave is copied in real time. He will copy us in real time.
Yeah.
That's probably the easiest way of doing it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I will keep Harriman informed.
Great.
And I'd also recommend that usually we'll do a 1 year or just before a 1 year walkthrough of buildings after they're complete. All these projects are a little different because there's so many different phases, but I may recommend that we coordinate with Tamara to do a walkthrough of the 3 buildings, maybe at the start of school next year. So they've made it through a summer and the kids are back in them next fall, just to identify other stuff that's going to come up.
Thanks, Steve. That seems like a great suggestion.
Maybe in August, just so that if there is anything, we have some time to address it.
Okay. Yeah. I can coordinate that with Tamara.
Or, early August.
All right. And then I think, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just to wrap that up, I know our building leaders really take so much on and try to resolve things themselves. I think in this case, with respect to the BFOF construction, if you're having issues, please raise it with Tamara and with Dave, so we can ensure that that we can fix problems as quickly as possible.
Great. Okay. Next. We're moving on to the budget snapshot. And so as we wind down the BFOF, the entire bond picture of what's been expended on everything related to the bond, Dave has captured that with his dogged persistence. Dave, this lovely spreadsheet, we don't expect people to be able to zero in on any of the numbers here, but if you could just give us kind of the big picture of where we're at.
Big picture is, well, that spreadsheet's already out of date. That was days ago. We're at a point in the project where I'm spending a lot of time emailing and on the phone with purchasing to make sure that all currently known invoices and line items in their tracking system have been accounted for. I figured it out today, there are 555 separate lines in their budget between all 4 of the projects. So we're just going through that meticulously to make sure every penny is accounted for, both anything that should have been paid and that is going to be paid. We're right now, the projects cumulatively, including Lysith, we still have some money available for some of those change order items that Mark mentioned, like the HVAC controls at Presumscott and adding water bubbler at Longfellow, and I think there was something at Reiki.
Windows, I think we had. Oh yeah.
Well, those are all contracted and approved and funded. So it's some of the late breaking discretionary items right now that are still being priced that we will have to evaluate once we get the prices for them and are able to confirm outstanding invoices. There's still some open purchase order items for IT equipment that we're tracking track down. Right now, the current budget. I know I don't want to steal your thunder in talking about the furnishings, Mark, but the budget does reflect the presumed furniture award for the bid. So right now we're okay. We don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars at our disposal right now. We're somewhere in the area of $100,000 ish, subject to go up and down a little bit as we track down all the final expenses. But everything that's contracted is funded. The approved change order work is all funded. The furnishings to date are funded. IT is as well. So we're in reasonable shape. Trying to wring every penny out of the budget.
Exactly what we need. Thank you so much, Dave. Jessica.
Hi, sorry, just to clarify, did you say that the windows are paid for? You are going to change the windows at Longfellow and Presumpscot? Is that what you were referring to?
Yes, yeah, those were approved in change orders a month or maybe a little bit more ago, and I don't know on their schedule when that's happening. I think it's going to happen after a school year gets out, because they're a pretty invasive process. But yeah, what they're doing is they're changing 3 windows at Presumpscot and 3 windows at Longfellow from being fully fixed to have an operable component. Yeah.
All right. So on the total of the 64 million or some odd, we're down to about 100,000. That's right now. Still being, I guess, the unspent portions are, but that's still a work in progress. So
yes.
Definitely getting towards the end. With regard to the furniture, so as I think you're all aware, we put the project or the different packages out to bid for the 3 schools, and we received 5 bids. And here are the 5 right here that are identified. We had a total of $516,000 originally that we had set aside in the budget that we were just looking at. We had the low bid was quality special products, which you'll see as the light colored column with a total of $258,000. And then followed by Hertz Furniture System was the second lowest, and then WB Mason was the third. We evaluated all of the different material that they submitted, reviewed it with purchasing, determined that the low bidder wasn't comparable to the rest of the bidders in terms of what they included in it, and so their bid was rejected, and we moved to the next low bidder, and so that was the Hertz Furniture System, and the recommendation was to purchasing to go forward with approving that purchase of that furniture package. And so that has taken place. It was a couple of weeks ago that all of that transpired. And so right now, the process is in place to get the furniture all processed and on site. And so we anticipate that that's probably a 6 to 8 week lead time on the furniture itself. So that gives you some sense of right now what the furniture company is anticipating for arrival. So it looks like about 2 months or so.
And Mark, do you know when the city's going to send out the bid award? I'm sorry if I missed it.
Yeah, I tried to understand what we did was we reached out to the furniture vendor, and we were trying to be very careful not to say, hey, by the way, it's yours, because that officially has to come from the city. But we said, what would be the lead time for that, for the furniture, and that's what they gave us, the furniture delivery times. But I didn't, as of yesterday, I didn't have confirmation. I don't know if others have seen confirmation from the city purchasing that it has been awarded yet. Dave, you're shaking your head. You had not yet seen that. Okay.
Would it be appropriate for us to reach back out to the city?
I think that's appropriate, because I think everyone's on the same page in terms of who it was going to, and we followed up with a letter identifying the recommendation for award. So I think that's very appropriate to reach out to them just to confirm if it has indeed been awarded.
Okay, great. It's been some time now. I mean, the bids came in November.
Yeah, I think they were late November. Yep.
October.
Oh, was it October, Dave? Yeah.
It was October. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, and I think by the letter of the solicitation that they were required to hold it, I think, for 90 days, and so we're there, I think. So.
90 days is next Wednesday.
Yeah, I think Hertz is probably going to stand by, but I think it's probably worth reaching out. So that's the good news on the furniture. So we're finally there. A long process to get to that as well, and appreciate everyone's patience and effort to get all of that done. The next will be to actually get it and install it. All right. Next is approval of the meeting minutes. Several people have joined, so Emily, this is back to you.
I think we do not have quorum for this, so we're just going to move forward.
Okay, great. And with that, we have sort of next steps, which is there's going to be a conclusive presentation on the BFOF projects to the school board on February 6th. So that's coming up. We're excited to that. There's been probably several people that have come and gone on the board since the beginning of this. And so I think it'll be a good way to bring those who are unfamiliar up to speed with what the project accomplished, as well as sort of chance to celebrate the hard work of so many people involved. So that's coming right up. And then, of course, as we've talked about, wanting to really do kind of the official ribbon cutting to really inaugurate the sort of completion of these projects and getting to that milestone, which is really, really gratifying in so many ways. And so we're pretty excited. We want that to be a celebratory fashion, and that right now looks like spring for Reiki and Longfellow, and then in the fall for Presumpscot, after we can get some of that flooring resolved and get all that worked out. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Excellent. So I have a few things on these next steps. So first, on the February 6th presentation to the school board, if any committee members are available and want to come in person or join us via Zoom, please do, and I will make sure to recognize you during that time. As Mark said, it's going to be an opportunity to really summarize for the school board where we're at, what we've accomplished. And then for the ribbon cuttings, if you are interested in being involved in the ribbon cuttings, please either note it in the chat right now or send me an email, and we'll be sure, we would love your involvement, and we'll be sure to loop you in. And then finally, I'm going to work to organize a celebratory event for us to get together at a local Portland establishment to honor our work together and to celebrate it, and to just have the opportunity to come together and mark all that we've achieved in transforming 4 very old school buildings into 21st century learning environments. So I think realistically that will be in March. February is tricky with the school vacation, and so we want to find a time that as many of us can be there as possible. So be on the lookout for a communication likely from me about that as I try and schedule a time that people can be there. And I want to just take a couple of minutes to say thank you. These projects have been in the works for so many years. I want to, folks like Jess Marino was involved even before the last push in 2017 to pass the school bond. So there's just been years of dedication and commitment. I want to thank our school building leaders, as well as our staff, who have managed to educate our kids through very challenging circumstances as construction has gone on for years on these projects, and you already have your hands so full. And just the grace and positive attitude in terms of being willing to to see these projects through to fruition. So and to achieve the potential in terms of really transforming the school buildings. So I just want to acknowledge all that it's been for you in running our school buildings, leading our school buildings through so many years of construction, and all of the twists and turns in terms of just dealing with the day-to-day stuff that comes up, as well as big structural things like we're moving the entrance of the school or what have you. So thank you. The Harriman team, I could not have asked for a better team to partner with on this project. It's been incredible to work with you first on Lyseth and then on these 3 schools. Mark, I feel like you have just been the steward of these projects for so long. Lisa as well, and Emily. So I just want to thank you. It's been awesome when I was a community member and on the panel when we first selected Harriman for Lyseth. I thought Harriman was just hot shit because you guys, your team convinced us that we could transform these school buildings, that with the money involved, which frankly was not a lot to renovate 4 old buildings, and you had a vision, and we now have proof that you not only had that vision, but you made it possible. You made it come to life. So thank you so much. Dave Lewis, you weren't with us at the beginning of these projects. Well, you were, but not throughout the whole. Not throughout the whole time, but you came back with us after working with us on Lyseth, and just have been such a tremendous asset. I'm so grateful to you and the role that you've played in ensuring that we're really dotting all of the I's and crossing all of the T's, and move the projects forward in the way that you have helped us enable that to happen. So thank you. And then to all of the other, to everyone else on this call, to the other committee members, just thank you so much for your persistence and stick-with-itness to see these projects through. The community was always at the heart of these projects. That's how we got here. And so to see community members continue on after all of these years to see the projects through has just been tremendous. So thank you, everyone. This is our last meeting, but I really do hope that you'll come to the ribbon cuttings, and we will continue to keep this group updated. And then I hope we can all raise our glasses together sometime in March to just celebrate.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Emily.
Everything you've done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and have a great night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.